On today's pod, both Manchester title contending teams in action with very, very different results. Chelsea and Liverpool on their way to dominating performances, along with a convincing win for Leicester. And oh, how the mighty have fallen. We will touch on Arsenal as well. This is the Premiership Perusal podcast.
For the first time this season, play the music!
Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Back, Fuchs, and the ball in behind Damian Vardy! It's 11! It's heaven for Jamie Vardy!
You are an ostrich. Well, your head must be in the sand. Is your head in the sand? Are you flexible enough to get your head in the sand?
Now the fans are shouting every week, Louis van Gaal's army! Louis van Gaal's army!
Feet after a fabulous start. The game just got away from you there.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say about the game at all.
Drama from day one! This is the league we want to watch!
Oh, yeah.
We're live.
We're live.
Back in the saddle, as
You
they
know.
would say.
You know, like a rhinestone cowboy, as one man would once say.
I'd sing it, but it'd be so good we'd get copyright.
Yeah, that's the problem. Well, Sam, how was your first week with the Premier League back?
Well, I would like to say it was euphoric. It was like 90% euphoric after
Yes.
Friday. To me, this season started on Saturday, actually.
It truly did.
So-
Even to me, as neither Arsenal nor Brentford fan, it started on Saturday for me.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of weird to start on a Friday.
it kind of is. I don't mind it. I think I'd rather have it start on a Saturday though, and then you just recap it with a Monday, because I feel like they always used to do that.
Yeah.
But you know, they have to have the one-off Premier game. Speaking of that Premier game, we're getting to it right now.
Yeah, let's get the pain out of the way.
Brentford, Arsenal.
Rip off the Band-Aid.
First off, just want to say, tremendous fans and atmosphere at Brentford Stadium.
Yep, absolutely
Could sense
wonderful.
it right away.
Lots of respect for them.
All right. I'd say if we're just getting right into it, did you want to talk about any lineup surprises or anything that kind of stood out to you maybe a little bit?
So we have some big changes for Arsenal, some late last-minute changes. Starting up front, we have
Balogun.
Fuller and Balogun, and also Martinelli on the wing. No Lacazette, no Aubameyang out ill, apparently, which we've learned today was actually COVID, along with Willian and Runarsson.
man.
Runarsson.
What were all four of those guys doing together? Seems like the four most random guys you could throw together.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But strange that they didn't come out and say that until now. But apparently it was a very last-minute thing, and Arsenal was trying to get the game canceled.
I did see that. Yeah.
So there's a little bit of an excuse for the
Yeah.
forthcoming performance from Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of Brentford, the usual 3-5-2 coming in and starting off strong, they really thrived off that crowd energy. What do you think about that start there?
You know, they weren't always the best coming out. I think it was a little sloppy at times on like some of the link-up play, but then once they did get it, they were in a lot of times. I would say the first like 10 minutes or so, Arsenal kind of had the better chances, some nice crosses from the edge of the box. And Brentford, like I said, not really able to control, but they did a good job pressing and stuff. So, you know, Arsenal didn't have like amazing chances.
Yeah, it was just the standard Tierney on the wing, crossing it in and praying that someone is going to score.
Yeah. I think around like the 20th minute, though, Brentford had their biggest chance when they hit the post. But it just felt like both teams are kind of breaking quickly and attacking in the mid was outweighing the defense. And I feel like that was kind of a trend in some other games as well,
Yeah.
too. But Arsenal just kind of felt a little more disorganized as the first half kind of went on, and it allowed Brentford to gain some momentum, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and the thing about Brentford, we know they're a team that likes to play very fast, and we also know that they're susceptible to a counterattack, which Arsenal doesn't really do, to be fair. But anytime Arsenal was on offense, Brentford looked really solid and organized in their defense. Made it very difficult for Arsenal to find space centrally in the box. And I thought that was just really well organized by Thomas Frank to have that balance in attack and defense as well.
Agreed. So we'll get to the first goal. It's kind of a corner that is cleared up the pitch and then headed into a wide area in the box, kind of a low cross, kind of got put out again by Chambers. And then it was more of a little pass to Canos, who made a cut, and he just kind of got just enough space past Chambers and then put it in. So, I mean, a lot of it was on Chambers. I wouldn't say that it was necessarily entirely his fault because there's some other stuff going on, but it kind of just summed up Arsenal's defense was clearly out of all the components for each side, it was definitely the weakest on this day.
Yeah, it just looked very unorganized and scattered at that point. And we've known that Callum Chambers' strong suit isn't defending one-on-one like that.
He's a better team defender than an individual defender, to say the least.
Yep.
Yeah, and I felt like also Arsenal's wide defenders, as good as Tierney was in attack form, and he's pretty much their main guy, I felt like, not necessarily just him, but it just felt like, especially wide, Arsenal were so exposed.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Tierney going up like that, you're relying on Xhaka to kind of push out and cover that left side, which can be dangerous at times.
Yeah. That play at like the 30-minute mark where the Brentford guy just dangled, like, who was that? Mari and I think Ben White just like walked through.
Yeah.
That kind
was
of
a rough go.
Yeah, that kind of summed up how it was going in defense. But, and it felt like just in this game, like Brentford weren't necessarily worried about making mistakes.
Yeah, they came out with confidence. They weren't the cliche, like, newly promoted team that sits back and is reluctant to attack, because they looked comfortable going forward. I mean, at times it wasn't the most,
like
beautiful
I said,
passing sequences.
It wasn't, because they just couldn't. They're not the highest of quality teams. They're not going to string together these great build-up plays all the time. But when they do, it's really impressive. And yeah, there has to be just some idea where Thomas Frank like lets them play loose and like take advantage of like certain weaknesses they see. They're like, well, we can go a little faster than Arsenal wants to, so let's expose that.
Yeah, exactly. Arsenal are a team that's very easy to play against. They're very obvious in what their flaws are and what their game plan is.
Are you talking about how they like only went left for like 90% of
Yes, exactly.
the time?
And that they don't really want to counter. They want to let the defense get set up and pass slowly, and the passing sequences between players are pretty patternized, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of set, and some teams will figure what's going on pretty early. Yeah, I couldn't tell if it's just Arsenal's attack wasn't quite clicking, or if it was more Brentford's might just have a good defense. We'll see as the year goes on, but it might just be a mix of both. Who knows?
Yeah, that's what I think it was.
Second half. Smith Rowe, solid first half. I thought he was even better in the second half. I felt like they just didn't really get him enough on the ball.
Yeah, he was kind of just like the lone bright spot for Arsenal in terms of creativity. I mean, you have Tierney, but it doesn't matter how good your crosses are with the way that Arsenal play and the players that are in the central area. No one's getting on the ends of those chances.
Yeah, they just Arsenal honestly just looked better in general in the second half when it came to attacking build-up play. It was a little quicker, a little sharper.
Yeah.
Had some more edge to it. It just didn't result in anything. But Brentford, 66th minute, had a pretty big chance. just no one wide for Arsenal again. Slid the ball middle, and Leno with a pretty good save. But the disorganization conceding on a long throw.
Yeah. That's like the most classic Arsenal thing, just conceding a goal on the long throw where they allow it to bounce. And then the second you see that ball bounce in the box, it's over. Someone's going to score that.
Yeah, I honestly, like, Chambers might have conceded, like, not necessarily conceded both goals, but I thought Mari was worse. I thought Mari was probably the worst player on the pitch.
Yeah, you'd think he'd be able to clear that initial throw, and he failed to do so, and then it landed, and then Norgard came up at the back post and scored.
I just want to see Arsenal go more central at times in attack too, is the main thing. I think my main takeaway from Arsenal's perspective in this game. Not all the time, but eventually just commit to a certain point where you're like, okay, we've had it out wide, we've worked it, and now we're going to go middle, because that's where you're going to get your best chances.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're so predictable, you have to realize that it's so obvious what you're trying to do. Easy to defend. Teams have figured this out. You got to switch it up. You got to try out different things. You got to take risks. But obviously, none of that is happening.
Yeah, well, you can walk the ball into the net, so to say, if you're Man City against the Premier League side. You probably can't if you're Arsenal.
Right.
You're just going to have to eventually kind of just commit to something, even if it's not your best chance, at least take a chance. But anything else you want to say as far as that game action before we discuss the implications and whatnot?
No, I don't have too much else to say.
We'll just get right into the conclusions of this.
What do you think about this in terms of Arsenal? To me, people were very surprised at this result, but to me this is just like same old Arsenal that it's been for the past 3 years.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was surprised, only because, I mean, when you have Balogun in there, I'm sure he's a good young prospect, but when you go in with him starting in the first game of the season, and obviously, like we talked about, short notice and stuff, I don't feel good about your chances to score.
Yeah.
Even if you have good players like Smith Rowe and you have Tierney creating like the most chances of the week in the Premier League, it just doesn't feel good.
Even with better players on paper, like if you have Lacazette in there, you're still not scoring enough goals.
Yeah, and I feel like part of that is Lacazette's not as quality as you would think, but still, I mean, it comes down to the system a lot too now. It's like you just have to go for it and kind of break away from the system at one point to go for a chance. But
yeah. So there were a couple players I was impressed by for Brentford.
Let's hear 'em.
First one being Ethan Pinnock.
Yeah, he's solid.
I thought he did great
performance.
In the one-on-one duels with Pepe. It seemed like every time he was dispossessing Pepe, and that was just when Arsenal would try and go on the right side through Pepe, it was just like nothing was happening down that side because he was shutting things down. And then going forward, I liked Mbuemo, just kind of running at the defense.
Yeah, well, he was the guy who had that chance early on in the game. Yeah, Tony was kind of locked down a little bit by Arsenal, and I mean, that's probably just going to happen. A lot of teams might just target him and think, oh, well, if we stop him, and, we'll take our chances with other guys. Yeah, their whole back three, Pinnock, Janssen, and Ayer, really impressed me. Just the way that they were all over the field. Canos, I mean, he scored. He had just a relatively solid game outside of that as well. Norgard had a very excellent game, I thought. Yeah, I think Brentford showed that they definitely possess the quality to stay up. They're not just some pushover team, which we knew coming into it. But
yeah, we had a little bit of we told you so. Brentford's actually pretty good.
As in we had them like 2 spots of relegation. But no, I mean, if you're going to play like the way Brentford's playing, I feel so much better about your chances of staying up than if you just play Tony Pulis ball. Yeah.
And another thing about Tony was that he was putting in a shift defensively as well.
Tony Pulis was?
Not Tony Pulis.
Ivan
Tony, yes. I mean,
Tony Pulis always putting
he
in
puts
a shift.
in a shift every time. That's all he knows. But yeah, I was impressed by that. We'll see going forward if other teams are able to expose Brentford for the way they play potentially, or maybe they've just adjusted so they're more balanced coming into this season.
I would suspect it's going to be a little bit of both. Probably slightly more get a little bit exposed. But yeah. Well, at least Arsenal, they have Odegaard coming in now.
Yeah, and
that'd be massive.
Aaron Ramsdale.
Aaron Ramsdale probably coming in too. So who knows what they do with Leno before we move on? Is he just there for one more year and then they let his contract expire?
It seems weird that you would spend £24 million on a goalkeeper for him to be your backup for a season.
Yeah, especially when the other guy's going to be out of contract.
You would think you would just start him right away.
Yeah.
But
who knows?
I don't know. Maybe they're trying to get some value out of Leno and sell him in January, potentially.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Well, moving on to a more impressive performance. We're talking about Norwich.
Norwich, yes.
Talking about Norwich and Liverpool. Coming in this game, any surprises to you as far as the lineups? I mean, we knew coming in that Robertson wouldn't be in. But anything other than that, I mean, it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, the midfield, I guess it's not that surprising, but when you just actually see it, it's like Milner, Keita, and Oxlade-Chamberlain. Like, is this a team that's going to win the title?
Yeah, so that was my first thought too. And right after the game, everyone's hyping up Liverpool and stuff. I'm like, this is not even James Milner from 2 years ago. This is not like Arsenal Oxlade-Chamberlain. These are different guys. They're not quite as good as they used to be.
Yeah.
Maybe they can suffice for now, but it's like even after that, if one of those guys goes down, it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, you have Henderson on the bench, but it's like still, it'll come back to bite them. We'll just keep saying it until it happens.
And then another change would be Firmino out, Jota in. I like that personally.
Jota's just a better goal scorer and more threatening going forward. Firmino can do a little more in different areas of the pitch, but I like Jota better.
I think Jota's more the future in terms of Liverpool.
True.
And then for Norwich, we got some new guys coming in. Billy Gilmore, Rashica, Lise Milu, and that Greek guy, Giannolis.
Yes. Giannolis.
And then let's get right into the game. What do you think of this game right off the bat?
It wasn't super I didn't think it was like really one-sided. I was a little surprised how much Norwich was able to kind of hold their own, and we'll talk about that more as it goes on, but I don't know. It did seem like, I think that caught me a little off guard. You figured Liverpool, because we've seen it in the past where they'll come out and have 80% possession against like Burnley and stuff, but they didn't really do that this game. They kind of just let it come to them at times.
Yeah, there were definitely some times where, like you say, Norwich was having more possession than you would expect. I was impressed with the link-up play between Timu Pukki and Rashica. I thought Rashica looked really nice actually coming in. It didn't look like he, needed time to adapt or anything. It seemed like he kind of fit in right away into that team.
Well, Daniel Farke, he's a man of German descent.
Yeah.
And Rashica playing in the German league. Clearly, it's all just going to align perfectly. But no, I thought that Norwich had some nice flashes. I thought a couple of their guys looked pretty good. Max Aarons, he's always highly touted. I'm not as high on him as some other people are, but he had some very good moments this game as well in defense for him. So
I thought they kind of just looked similar to 2 years ago when they were in the league.
Yeah.
Like they'd have a good start or something and make some impressive plays. Maybe they would score, but most likely not.
Yeah.
And then, like we see here, 26th minute, Jota puts Liverpool ahead. He finds some space in the box from the cross.
The lucky touch by Salah, that was an awful touch, and it just worked out to be a perfect pass.
Yeah, it was the perfect pass.
Yeah. No, it's just I mean, that's what Liverpool is going to do. They're going to eventually kind of suffocate you with those wide plays. You would think that Norwich maybe would have came in and just overloaded Alexander-Arnold's side, because what are you going to? The other side's just going to be the Greek, Chimiskas.
Yeah.
He's just going to beat you. It's like you might as well take your chances with that. They should have just pushed so heavy onto Alexander-Arnold's side, I thought, but you know. They kind of got caught out at times, too. Liverpool were pretty quick on the counter in this game, as we'll talk about coming up. But then, speaking of the counter, Norwich at times, too.
Yeah, it's just kind of that same thing we've seen where Pookie's leading the line, trying to get in behind.
Mm-hmm.
You got Todd Cantwell pushing up further as well, and then Rashica also helping down the wing. I mean, it looked really nice at times, but looking nice doesn't get you anything unless you score.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This game, there's not really a whole lot that was paradigm shifting in terms of what you thought about either team in this. It was kind of cut and dry. But halftime 1-0 Liverpool. Coming out of the second half, Firmino subbed on for Jota, and he scored after the balls failed to be cleared by Norwich.
Yeah, rough go for that defense there.
Again, with that Liverpool counter. I can see why they'd sit back, but it's like you're sitting back against Norwich.
Yeah, it was pretty strange.
It's very strange. And then the third goal for Salah. Good finish. I don't think Kroll could really see it, but
yeah,
just failure to clear from Norwich. And, that's what we were talking about. It's like, with Norwich, it's like, yeah, their defense is one of the best three in the championship. Show us in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Grant Hanley, yeah, okay. Championship.
Right.
Let's see it in the Premier League.
Right.
So, 3-0, rough start for Norwich result-wise. Performance definitely better than the result. Liverpool, great result. I wouldn't say it was like a bad performance or down performance by them. I mean, 3-0, anytime you can get that, but it was just, if you watch it, you're like,
It wasn't one of those matches where you have the front three firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
When Salah and Mane and either Jota or Firmino are really going. This one was more of just like you grind out the result. At times you're sitting back, but in the end, you score 3 goals, concede 0, so you move on with the 3 points.
Just want to see how often they tend to sit back against even better teams.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. And we'll also have to see, is it good enough, Sam? Liverpool good enough?
To me, the midfield is just, it's not a Premier League title winning team.
Yeah.
Simple as. I mean, even throwing in Henderson in there.
They can grind you to top 4.
Yeah, I think that's about it. But in terms of depth, too, if you're going to be playing in the Champions League as well,
yeah,
that midfield is, those guys should be playing off the bench,
Yeah. Maybe
Not-
Keita starts if he's in form.
maybe Keita, but, a guy like Milner and Oxlade-Chamberlain, those guys are more depth pieces.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't be your starters. And we talked about this, Liverpool not filling in the spot of Wijnaldum.
Yeah.
I think that's going to come back to haunt them.
Yeah, only time will tell.
And then in terms of Norwich, the one thing I want to say is they looked good at the start of the match. After halftime, it didn't look like they had all that much going on. So I'm slightly concerned that they can only put it together for maybe
a half.
30 minutes.
Yeah, not even that, just stretches.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could definitely see that being the case. It felt like at times last year they did, that's kind of, or not last year, but the year before when they were up, that's, like you said, very similar to how they were. I mean, you're not going to expect the world of difference. It's Norwich. They're up and down for a reason, but, you'd like to see more if you're supposed to believe they're going to stay up.
Yep.
So
moving on.
Speaking of staying up, we got a relegation fight team right here for you. We got a Hank calling a Watford win special coming up for you right here. Yeah. Watford Villa.
Watford versus Villa. Anything in terms of the starting lineups that stood out to you?
Nothing as far as the Villa side. It looked pretty cut and dry. Maybe you're a little surprised Ings is in right away.
No Leon Bailey.
Yeah,
on the bench.
well, exactly. It's like, well, what does Ings get to come in just because he's in England, familiar with this, everything going on, whereas Leon Bailey's got to come from Germany and stuff, kind of get some training sessions under his belt in England or what's going on there. But
That makes sense.
yeah, as far as the Watford side, a little surprised that Emmanuel Dennis was their guy up front. We talked about how we liked that signing. Peter Edebo in midfield as well. I won't lie, I was a little caught off guard. No Will Hughes. Looked it up, saw he was out. He was hurt. So,
Well, he's been training with the under 23s.
yeah, I think
He's kind of been frozen out.
Yeah, and I think he picked up a knock too, though. I'm almost positive. Is what the announcer said, at least. But yeah, I think they were trying to look for a move for him. But
Yep.
no, I think everything was pretty cut and dry as they like to do it over there in Watford. They got their wide players and whatnot. But early on, Watford showing that pace. Speaking
Yeah.
of those wide guys.
Right off the bat, they're just running straight at the Villa defense. Mainly Ismail Assar
At Matty Target.
at Matty Target.
It was pretty messed up that Dean Smith put him on an island and was like, oh, you can just handle him.
Yeah, they just kept going back and back to that. I mean, Watford right away getting the goal through Dennis. The work done by Sarr. Just having a rough go for Matty Target down that wing.
Yeah, I mean, and Sarr's a terrific player, and he's got the pace. And you figure Dean Smith would have told, because they have Ashley Young in there, it's like, hey, maybe drop back a little bit and give him some support. There are a lot of times where Matty Target have to go up to win headers and stuff, and then he's even beat that way because Ashley Young's not back. I just thought that Villa got it wrong on defense in this game. And, I mean, credit to Watford. They saw it and they exploited it. Going through one of their main guys, you would think that Villa would be like, this guy's probably their best or second best guy. Maybe we should stop him. And
Yeah, especially I noticed Villa when they were in possession of the ball, they were
slow.
They were slow and they were building up, trying to go through the fullbacks and then maybe try and swing something in towards Danny Ings. So
Yeah.
then you have, Matty Target and Matty Cash pushed up farther, and that just makes it even worse.
Even when they were trying to get like their forwards kind of up the wings and stuff, it was too slow. Like they just let Watford get in the spots to cut off the passes. Like I don't know what they were doing. I mean, part of it, sure, some of the team's not familiar, but a good chunk of the team's familiar with each other. So unimpressed by Villa in attack. And Villa just looked worried the whole half in attack too, because they were worried about getting caught out.
Yeah.
They're like,
Especially-
Sarr could burn any one of our guys. Same with
Especially when you
Dennis.
get hit on the counter like that so early in the match, then, like you say, it's just you're worried about it.
Yeah.
And Villa, they just looked like they were really struggling to get the ball into dangerous areas centrally. I mean, even down the wing as well, it wasn't that great. They'd maybe send in something hopeful towards Danny Ings, but there was no real connection
Yeah.
between the wide players and Danny Ings, and someone getting in to that number 10 position. We know they signed Buendia to be kind of a creator for them to replace Jack Grealish in a way,
Yep.
but he was just kind of out.
Yeah, he was MIA. There was no going central for Villa. Kuchka and Edebo were just all over that. And then even sometimes Dennis would drop even further back and
Yeah.
pressure from behind. So there's no going that way. And Watford were just going to make him kind of play wider. And even then, Villa wasn't good enough to be quick enough wide.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of times the ball would be played up the wing, and Messina would instantly cut off that lane, let it go out. It was really frustrating to watch Villa, and that's why I picked Watford though, is because it's like it's gonna take a little while for Villa to get this down.
Yep.
It's completely different when you go from having a guy who's your main catalyst for your attack, and then you take him out and you just put pieces in there. You got to work. So, second half they kind of tightened up a bit though.
We missed a goal. 2-0. Sarr.
Oh, you want to talk about
picks
that?
up a goal off the deflection. But
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, that's the same thing, though.
Same
It's just
thing.
him out wide
Yep.
and cuts in. Yeah. So, but second half, they tightened it up a bit, and it was mainly because they finally had Young get back and
Yeah.
help Matty Target.
Well, they actually subbed off Target. Ramsey came on.
Yeah, Ramsey.
Yeah, Target subbed off. Ashley Young dropping into the left back position, and that actually helped.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, it's like
You're already 2-0 down.
you're 2-0 down. And then Watford scores again through the substitution. Cucho Hernandez coming on for the injured Emmanuel Dennis. Just a beautiful curler
Yeah.
from outside the
post and in.
box in his first appearance for the club.
Man, that was... It was all downhill for Watford then after that one.
Yeah, you're thinking the game's over at that point.
Yeah, but then you're like, okay, well, Watford had the best defense in the championship last year. Let's see him hold this up. Was it 70th minute? John
70th
McGinn
minute.
just with a absolute peach of a goal.
The most like out of nowhere goal ever.
Yeah, I mean, it really was just kind of quick build-up play. They finally got central, and then John McGinn entered the box. Boom.
And he took it so perfectly on the volley as well.
Yeah. And then it's some build-up play from Villa going on towards the end, some chances and stuff, not a ton, and then just a horrible penalty to get
That-
away.
Dude, what are you doing? You're like swinging your leg. Just-
Yes.
I don't know what you expect to do.
Just stick it out
Messina,
back.
terrible foul there on Traore.
And then Danny Ings able to convert, make it 3-2. So he
Danny
gets his
Ings-
debut goal.
Yeah, so he can't be listed as a disappointment. He got his pen.
Yep. So, and even after that, Villa kind of pushed for equalizer,
Yep.
but couldn't really get it going.
Ran out of time.
I would say the one positive for Villa in this 3-2 loss has to be when Leon Bailey came on. He looked good. It was kind of, maybe you say, oh, well, they were 3-0 down. It's not much to lose. You just throw it out there. But
Yeah.
he was creating stuff. I mean, he had an assist on the
Mm-hmm.
John McGinn goal. So, what were your takeaways from this?
Yeah, I was just pretty disappointed. Buendia. We talked about this, I think, that his main production came in the championship.
Yep.
When he was in the Premier League 2 seasons ago, he didn't do all that much. So if I'm a Villa fan, I'm slightly concerned that maybe he's just a great championship player that can't make the
Potentially.
leap. But it is still early.
Yep.
But when you sign a guy for £40 million,
You kind of expect him to make
you
that.
expect that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Villa, their new signings, up, down, in the middle. Watford, they're up right now.
They looked great going forward. My only question would be, what are they going to do when teams are a little more smarter about the, pushing down the wing? Are they going to be able to defend against that a little better?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's their plan B if they can't score off the counter through Sarr?
Yeah,
That's my thoughts on that.
yeah. I mean, they're going to have to work a way to go central, whether it's... Because there are times where, like, Kuchka was even pushing up a little bit. And then, I mean, obviously Dennis being the main striker, he's able to go
Yeah.
through the middle. But they don't really have a 10. I mean, they had... When they were up last time, they had Roberto Pereira. And he is kind of a 10/8 kind of guy. Could get forward for him. I don't know. They don't really have that guy now. They just have a few good wingers.
Mm-hmm.
And some decent 8s that can play the ball forward. So
So moving on to
good
the
for
next
Watford. Yep.
one. Leicester versus Wolves.
Oh, this was kind of a weird game.
It-
I liked it.
There was kind of a weird game. We were coming into this game wondering what Bruno Lage was going to do in terms of a formation. Sticking with the same 3-4-3 that we've come to know from Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Not the 4-4-2 we thought possibly we could see.
Yeah.
And then in terms of Leicester, I was a little surprised. No Iheanacho opting for Vardy up front as the sole striker.
Yeah, you figured, and maybe this just comes down to no Fofana, so they don't feel as comfortable with 3 at the back. But it's like, I would have figured they would have went 3 at the back, 2 striker formation on this one. But,
Yeah,
that's why they pay Brendan Rodger the money and not me.
true.
But as far as the rest of the team, I wouldn't say there's anything too crazy. Maybe Ayuzi Perez. Normally he's kind of a sub, or if he starts, he's kind of goes the whole way. But as far as Wolves side though, there was no Ait Nouri. A little surprising, but nothing too crazy. They have other guys that they like to play. So starting off, Wolves kind of had a decent amount of possession, early threat for them, and then eventually it just kind of transitioned in the first half to Leicester holding a good chunk of possession and getting most of the chances.
Yeah, Leicester had some good chances going through Vardy, kind of that typical Vardy play, getting in behind. Had some chances there, wasn't able to convert on those.
Mm-hmm.
And we also saw a chance from Traore, one-on-one with the keeper.
Wolves counter this game, man. It was on.
It was on, but all but the
Traore was
finishing.
not. Mr. Adama was not on.
That was just a nightmare of a one-on-one.
Oh, gosh. He's going to be seeing those dreams.
Can't even put it on target.
Rough stuff. But yeah, Leicester kind of, I felt like halfway through the first half is really when it transitioned. That's when it kind of became like Leicester took hold of the game. And Wolves were like, okay, we'll let it come to us. We're not going to press super hard until they get a little deeper in our end. We're not going to fly side to side as aggressively as we were earlier. But as we were saying, Wolves' counterattack was so quick. So quick when they had it going.
It was quick. The only thing being that it seemed like Jimenez was kind of not connecting that well with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was impressed by Trincao and also Hoover coming down the flank.
Yeah.
I thought he looked really good. It just, we're not sure on Jimenez, what his status is of.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, he wasn't always like a excelled in counter attack situation guys, but the jury's still out on him. The first goal right before the end of half with Pereira splitting the D, getting that cross off, and Vardy with a terrific finish.
Yeah, that was classic Vardy goal with that finish.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was good defense by Wolves. They had like a bend don't break mentality, and then you get that specialty dropped on you by Leicester. It's like, oh well,
yeah,
what are you gonna do?
That was some Jamie Vardy magic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So they go into halftime 1-0. Second half, Wolves coming out kind of like what we've seen before, where they come out better in the second half, a little more energetic.
Yeah, I was impressed just in general by Wolves' ability kind of to go central at times and then get it out wide at the perfect time to create their chances. I thought that was something that I figured we'd see with this new system by Lage, but I was impressed to see it come to fruition so soon.
There were times actually when Wolves kind of turned into like a 3-4-1-2 with Traore kind of playing as a second striker in a way, and he was finding a lot of space getting in, but then ultimately he had another chance.
He had a few.
Shoots it right at the keeper. He had a few chances. It's just,
I still like the way Lage was using him out on the left, because normally if you look at Traore's stats on where Wolves line him up, it's generally like 60-65% right, and then it's like 20% mid, and then like 10-15% left, something along those lines, kind of the split. He never really is on the left, and Lage clearly likes something he sees with them, like just get him in space. Maybe we'll do a little build-up play over here, and if we have to, at last resort, flip it to Traore and then let him do his thing.
Yeah,
might be his thing.
I liked it. It seemed a little more direct. In that way, having him on the left side, whereas on the right side, he often just gets isolated down the right-hand side and has to really try and dribble for the end line and get a corner.
Yeah, or maybe win a free kick. Or
win a free kick, but it just doesn't look all that productive with him out there.
Yeah.
Yes, he had his issues finishing, but at least he was getting chances.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely... Lage seems to be creating more direct passages of attacking football than we saw from Wolves in the second half. And that's not to criticize Nuno. I think he had a certain way, and then when it gets taken away from you mid-season, it's kind of hard to adjust. and be like, oh, well, we can make fun of him and be like, cut, throw it to Traore, lol.
Yeah.
Nice tactics, but it's like, Lage has had this whole summer to kind of work with these guys, get his system down, and figure out ways what to do when things break down. So, I don't know. I was pretty impressed by Wolves showing in this game, and by Leicester as well. They look pretty solid. They look like a team that's still going to contend for top 4.
Yeah, I really like when they have Jamie Vardy and Harvey Barnes and James Maddison. Speaking of James Maddison, came off injured.
Yeah.
Concerning for Leicester.
You would think so.
It's just he's got that injury record that just keeps coming up. It's the same thing, the hip issue. I mean, as an Arsenal fan, all these rumors of Arsenal getting James Maddison. Yes, he's a great player, and when he's fit, you love to have him on the field, but
the
fitness is
right
just seems to be a really big issue.
Yep. But going back to this game, the Connor Cody chance late.
Deemed offside.
Yeah.
Unlucky.
Unfortunate.
Wolves were really pushing at the end, but Leicester was holding strong, brought on Vestergaard, who honestly looked pretty awful.
He's not the first guy you would replace Fofana with.
No.
To say the least. But you needed something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering maybe they use like Vestergaard as like their main Europa League kind of guy and let him do with that and maybe bring him on as just a ball clearing center back at the end of Premier League games.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure, on his debut for the club, he was a little nervous probably. First game of the season. He was a little nervous. So just some thoughts on this. Going back to the formation, I like that they stuck with this formation. I think it makes more sense to play kind of through the wing backs. I liked seeing Hoover.
Yeah, he really impressed me.
He was really impressive. We know about Ait Nouri. I'm sure he'll feature.
Mm-hmm.
He's great down the wing like that. And I think, like you said, there's reason to be optimistic about Wolves.
Yeah.
Hopefully someone else will be getting the chances other than Traore.
Yes.
In terms of Leicester, they definitely could have scored more goals in the first half through those Vardy chances.
Mm-hmm.
So it's strange because this game was 1-0 to finish, but it could have been so different.
Yeah, it absolutely could have been with a little better finishing. And just about Leicester, I think going forward it would be interesting to see when they get Iheanacho in there.
Yeah.
Maybe even Daka, let him start some. So
yeah, it's great that they have so many options, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. So good game right there. Might have been up for game of the week potentially, but this one I think was game of the week, which I had the honor of watching this game with Sam.
Yes.
We're talking about Rafa and the Haas, Everton, Southampton going at it.
The key matchup.
What stood out to you as far as lineup on here? Because Everton, like I always kind of give the cliche, like, nothing really stands out. Literally nothing stands out about Everton other than, like, I guess Townsend and Gray getting starts, but...
You told me that they were going to be depth pieces, Hank.
What do you want from me?
Now they're starters.
Yeah, well, Everton, they like the, Rafa's a guy who mixes things up.
Oh.
I mean, they lined up, I thought, it's just I can't believe Gray and Townsend were in to start.
It's kind of like you expected it to happen, but then when it happens, you're like...
Really?
This really happened?
Really? Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? No Gylfi, no. Even though they're wide guys and Gylfi is center, it's still.
Yeah.
But the Southampton side, maybe I was a little surprised given no Armstrong. I was confused on that. I don't know if he picked up a knock or what.
Stuart Armstrong, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the other Armstrong.
Yeah, I was a little surprised about that as well.
The Scott Armstrong. The Mick Armstrong.
Mick Armstrong, yeah. The one thing I was surprised too was Livramento.
Right off the bat
getting in there.
Oh, we'll talk about him.
But we'll talk about him. Adam Armstrong making his debut for Southampton.
Yeah, very nice.
Alongside Che McAdams.
Nothing really happened of note in the first 15 minutes or so. It was just teams trying to have possession, and then it was just going nowhere.
Yeah, it was bad. There there was a lot of giveaways, and then the other team would just do nothing with that and then give it away to the other team.
How about the ultimate giveaway to Mr. Armstrong in his debut?
Yeah, Michael Keane. Absolute shambolic defending. I don't know what he was doing.
He's just like walking. He's done this before too. He just like walks forward and thinks that like he gets all the time in the world and no one can touch him. And then when the striker comes up to you and pokes the ball off your foot, that's bad.
It was bad. But to be fair though, Adam Armstrong, how about that finish?
That was fantastic. Pinpoint perfection.
No questions about it. He's like upper 90, top bins.
So good. So good. And Pickford screaming man, as always.
Very unhappy.
Yeah, this was just such a sloppy game. And, you know, we'll no, because honestly, nothing happens in the rest of the first half, so we'll just get to it. When Richarlison passed to the substitute, I think that just summed up the game.
Yeah, exactly.
He just laid it out.
Man, those are my favorite moments. There's been a couple that have happened before. The last one in the Premier League, I believe it was Renato Sanchez when he was on loan at Swansea.
Yeah, passing to the sign.
He passed it to the advertisement board.
That's so awesome.
It's just the funniest thing ever. You're like, wait, there's no one over there. Why did you pass? And then you watch the replay and like something comes across the advertisement board.
He just allows movement out of the corner of his eye.
But I bet if that was me, I'd probably do that too.
Same.
Many times.
Same. You can't hate too much.
But then right as we're making fun of him,
yes,
he equalizes right before halftime.
Yeah, that was the second half. That was like the 47th minute, wasn't it?
I thought it was in the first half.
I thought it was right after the start of the second half.
We're gonna
pull it up.
We're
real
gonna
quick.
figure this out right now.
47th
minute. You are correct.
Yeah, it was a weird goal because it looked like it was cleared, and then there was Jack Stevens was like laying in a position that played Richarlison on, and he gets the ball dinked into him, and he just, I guess, kind of a bike, not really a bike, but overhead kick in a way. Side overhead kick. It doesn't matter.
Side volley?
It's in for Richarlison. And then after that, it was pretty much all Everton, just in terms of even keeping possession. The possession wasn't amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but it was still possession. They still had control of the game, but it was like, I honestly, when we were watching, you're like, how are there two more goals? And that's how I felt too.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, Everton has the ball and kind of controlling, but it's like, how are they going to score two more times?
It's kind of the opposite of the last match where it's like, wait, it ends 3-1? How is this possible?
I'll tell you how. A little Doucouré magic, little Alex Iwobi, Arsenal missing them out here.
If you could see my face right now.
Doucouré with just a 360, slots it upper 90.
360 no scope.
Yeah.
Face fakey.
Truly incredible
top bins.
shot.
Put that one on the montage.
And at this point, you just knew for sure that Everton would take all three because there's no way Southampton is scoring again.
Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin goes down, diving header. Could have easily just tapped it in with his foot.
Yeah.
Diving header for no reason. So
put it on the montage.
3-1. Southampton, and we saw it last year a lot of times. What would happen is they wouldn't score, and then the other team would score, and they'd just be demoralized, and that's just how the game got away from them. This game, they had the lead.
This time they score, and then the other team scores, and they're demoralized.
Yeah, and then it's just like, oh no. And to be fair, they had some okay chances. Pickford made a couple saves, but they really were gifted that 1-0 lead. It could have
absolutely
easily been a way worse result for them.
Yeah.
But what are your main takeaways from this game?
The one bright spot on Southampton being your guy, Livramento. You're a big fan of him already.
I did. He looked good at times, especially going forward. He had the techers going. He was dribbling past people.
Yeah, he honestly looked like Southampton's best player on the day, I think.
Yeah, him. If Armstrong could have got a little more going, but there wasn't much service for him, so it's hard to blame him.
Exactly.
But yeah, those were like their two main guys. I think my main takeaway for Southampton is they need to get Oriol Romeo out of there because he is just not good.
Yeah, no.
I want to see him with Mick Armstrong. That is,
Armstrong,
yeah, he's got to be in there. I want to see them use the Vestergaard money to at least bring in someone.
Yeah.
Someone.
You need to bring in a new center back. And unfortunately, it looks like they're going to bring in someone from the Championship, which I predicted.
Well, it's going to be hit or miss.
Yeah.
Probably miss, but
Probably.
you never know. For
At least
Southampton.
they signed James Ward-Prowse to a contract extension today, so they're holding on to him.
Yes.
If they got rid of him,
Yeah.
hello Championship.
I mean, yeah. I wonder if how often they're going to shake things up, because I wouldn't even be surprised if, like, Walcott's now starting last game. He looked rough this game. Rough. He was doing nothing out there.
Yeah, he didn't have that link-up play that we saw last season.
Mm-hmm.
It was just not good.
Yeah.
Gineppo didn't look very good either.
No. And it's like, well, they have other guys. Are they any good? Like Nathan Redmond stuff? Not really, but it's at least worth a chance, I guess, to get him in there. We'll see. But Southampton, it's a little doom and gloom for them. Everton, for a 3-1 win, they looked pretty rough.
Yeah, this was about as bad as you can get and still win 3-1.
Yeah, it was not good. Even the attack, it wasn't super convincing. They really didn't get much service to Calvert-Lewin until the very end. He had like maybe one or two other chances, but they were only like half chances because the service wasn't that great.
He had nothing going on. And the creativity on Everton just wasn't there. I mean, when you
lose Jaimes, lose Gylfi, and you replace it with Damari Gray and Andros Townsend.
You're going with the Crystal Palace, have Townsend whipping crosses and hope. I don't know. Let's move on to Crystal Palace.
Woo!
Chelsea versus Palace.
Woo!
Just a real great match.
It really was. I watched it 4 times. I had to get everything down about Chelsea.
Had to really study this one.
A little surprised about the Chalobah starting. He had a good preseason, but to throw him in there right away, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Marcos Alonso even getting the start. You're like, oh, all right. But that's the thing with Chelsea is they're so deep that if everything's going, you're able to throw these guys in there and you don't have any second thoughts. And if they're not going, you can probably just replace them with someone.
Yep.
So, as far as Palace, what do you think for the lineup? You kind of like this lineup that they had going, or no?
Well, I would have liked to see,
obviously, because he's hurt.
Yeah, you'd like to see him, and I was surprised that Joachim Andersen didn't start.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure they signed him a while ago, but they opted for the more experienced Kouyaté. I guess it makes sense when you have 2 new center backs.
They didn't want to ruin Anderson's confidence against Chelsea is probably what happened.
Yeah, I don't blame him there. The midfield doesn't inspire me.
Well, Jeffrey Schlupp always gets you going. Well, who really gets you going is Jordan Ayew.
Yeah, don't get me going on Jordan Ayew. No Conor Gallagher in this one.
Yeah, this clearly was Palace just wasn't throwing together their best stuff, and it kind of showed.
No Benteke up front either, going with Jean-Philippe Mateta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just kind of felt right off from the get-go it was going to be one of those games where Chelsea just looked like world beaters. Yeah. And even though they weren't doing the best with their possession, the pressing that they had on Palace, there was no way Palace was getting into Chelsea territory for extended periods of time. There's just so many plays. Like, even if they got one pass off for the link-up, Jorginho was putting a body on someone from the guy who originally passed it. So when he's supposed to be making that run for that one-touch pass, he's not even there, and a Chelsea guy's there, and Chelsea has the ball back. So
and this really looked like Crystal Palace of last season, which isn't surprising because there's a lot of players from last season in this team missing out on some of the new additions, but just that getting pushed back so far, having very little possession.
Yeah.
Not really linking up at all. The defense looks not that great. It looked okay at times.
I can't judge Palace at all this game. They didn't have some of their best guys, and it's going against Chelsea. It's hard for me to say anything.
It was
I don't want to give a free pass to them
Right.
But I almost have to. There's really no choice.
Yeah, and like we said in the preview, they're always going to be a team that it's going to take them
A while.
a while before they're going, and then hopefully once they get it going, they can make up for the time.
It's
at the
kind of
start
going to
the
be like
season.
Fulham of last year, but a little better, I would think.
Yeah.
From the get-go. Yeah, I mean, you just watch Chelsea and how dangerous they are without a proven goal scorer. You're like, what is this team with Lukaku out there? It's going to be
Scary.
insanity. Yeah, like Palace, they didn't even have their first like spell of touching the ball for like a minute until like the 20th minute.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the main thing I noticed too about this game was just how good Chelsea were out wide.
Yeah, really. They were working it so well down the wings with Alonso, and even the support by Kovacic and Jorginho, just kind of recycling the balls, and when they ran out of an option, they just go back and then kind of rework it, and then there'd be more space down the wing.
Yeah.
And they were getting into dangerous areas, and then a silly foul by Tyrek Mitchell, I believe.
Yeah. Sets up that free kick.
Sets up perfect position. Marcus Alonso.
How good was that free kick?
Steps up. I feel like this was one of those where you just know it's going in. Even before he kicks it.
Yeah, even Mount had a pretty good one before. I think I know it was before that one, obviously, but I forget what time that was. But they had another close free kick opportunity. Mount took one, and Goita had to make an amazing save, as he normally does. But yeah, it was just domination. Alonso on the first one, Pulisic on the second one, a little tap in.
The American.
Great move from Mount to set that one up. And then the third, Chalobah, just a low missile.
Yeah, from outside the box. Who would have thunk it?
Gosh, just dirty. All we really need to know about this game is Chelsea had the most 10-plus passing sequences in the Premier League this week with 25. And the second was 16, I believe. So that pretty much sums up how the game went.
Yeah.
And I think just under 10 of them ended up in a shot or a touch in the box. So
this felt like
did you have
almost another preseason game for Palace.
Yeah. Did you have any takeaways from this game?
I don't think we learned that much from Chelsea. You can beat a bad team.
Yeah. If this was April and they lost, then you'd know it's peak Chelsea because that's what they like to do.
Exactly. The only thing that stood out to me, Chalobah.
How dominant he was.
I'm just curious. There's been a lot of rumors about Koundé coming in. Are they still...
Well, I've heard that they might even just loan out Chalobah regardless. And think about if you're a lower Premier League side or even a mid-table side, how amazing of a pickup that would be for you if you got Chalobah on loan.
Absolutely.
That'd be incredible. So I think we can move on from this one.
Yes, let's move on. Into this wonderful next game.
Yes, we also had the pleasure of watching this game together. It is Burnley and Brighton. Burnley, you already know Burnley's amazing lineup that they have.
Yeah,
Lowton,
they
Taylor,
don't change
Tarkowski, me. Yeah, we joked mid-game that like you get when you sign for Burnley, you get a 10-year contract.
Great job, security.
Yes. Brighton. Only main difference from last year would pretty much be White not in there. And then the new addition of Mwepu also being in there. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of the same players from last year. Gosh, crazy start to this game.
Yeah, right off the bat, Burnley scores off of a corner kick.
Tarkowski just trucking Neil Maupay.
Absolutely no questions about it.
Mogged. Absolutely mogged.
I don't know how VAR looks at this and goes, yeah,
That's
works
fine.
for me. They've just gotten so far on the other side of the spectrum like that they're going to call absolutely nothing. They're like,
my gosh.
no, that's no, it's all good.
That's the only way you can score against Bobby Sanchez is being literally like 3 inches away from him and you have no one's marking you. It's the only way.
Yeah, after you just shove the guy out of the way. So that made a little tension between Maupay and Tarkowski.
Oh, there's tension the whole game between these teams for whatever reason.
I think it started with that. Just
True. True,
those
it definitely
guys
did.
getting into it, and then Maupay. I mean, it's Maupay. He gets
Yeah.
into it with everyone.
It's true. The one thing I noticed when we were watching is just how like Brighton really couldn't get anything going.
It was bad.
That one where I forgot who it was. Was it? It wasn't. No. When he like biked the ball at midfield, it was
Yeah.
like off a goal kick.
Yeah.
It was, and then Burnley got in, came right back down. That was so awesome. But no, they just couldn't get anything going for whatever reason. It almost looked a little like Leeds-esque when Leeds can't get it going, and
Yeah,
you're
when
like,
they're not
oh
clicking.
man, this is
It
painful.
looks really rough. It was so slow too.
Yeah,
I guess it just goes to show how important Ben White was to that kind of playing style.
yeah, he can even just bring the ball up further than you would think and get established a little more.
The only glimmer of hope Brighton had in terms of playing out of the back was when Basuma would come back and be like, okay, I'm
Oh,
sick of
yeah.
this. Just give me the ball. And then he'd
He'd
just
dribble.
run through the midfield
He
and
was
advance the ball.
He was killing it this game. Speaking of killing it, Burnley off corners and set pieces were just tormenting Brighton.
Every time they looked like they could have scored.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But somehow they didn't.
No, and then honestly, that domination kind of faded as the game went on. But
Yeah.
just what else faded was Burnley's defense, mainly because Brighton were just able to get it going again.
Yeah, mainly Basuma.
Yeah, but even then, they got the ball out wide. Maupay 1-1. As Sam said, Basuma carrying it forward, but then the ball out wide for Motor. Great substitution by
Yep.
Mr. Graham Potter.
Yep.
And then for the second one to McAllister, Gross out on the wing, swings it in low. McAllister, another great substitution by Graham Potter.
Yeah, they found the weak spot in the Burnley defense, just running down that right-hand side and crossing it in.
Mm-hmm.
Easy money.
Yeah.
2 goals, pick up 3 points.
As good as Burnley's defense are, the way you beat them is with quickness.
Yeah.
In small, short spaces.
Yeah.
You're not going to beat them necessarily in the air or just being more physical than them. You're going to beat them on the ground by being faster than them. So 2-1, Brighton. Main takeaways from this game?
Takeaways. I'm concerned about Burnley. The offense looked pretty awful. Even their strong suit of being dominant in the air off of corner kicks,
Yeah.
they didn't even score. So,
They scored once. So,
yeah, they
they
scored
could add
once
more.
that should have been called a foul.
yeah, exactly. No, I agree with you. 100%.
It's just, I'm
I-
quite concerned about Burnley.
It's mainly going to come down to their season's going to come down to guys like McNeil, and even he's a little more defensive minded, but Brownhill, guys like that, and what they're able to create for this team. Because, quite honestly, I don't know where else it's going to come from,
I don't
other than
know.
corners, Tarkovsky and me. So, I'd say I'm a little worried too about this team. Well, and like Jay Rodriguez, it's like, what does he do out there? You don't even really notice him.
No.
So he's kind of like Theo Walcott out there.
Yeah.
And then you want to talk about Brighton?
Brighton.
Look.
Concerning for them, being that their play style, trying to play out of the back, looked awful. I would be surprised if they keep trying to do it because it looked like it wasn't even close to working.
When you go from Ben White, and don't get me wrong, because he had a good game, to Shane Duffy, when it comes to dribbling and stuff, that's
Yes.
completely different.
Yeah.
That's Shane Duffy, a serviceable center back, to the lower tier center back.
He's
He
not
has
a play
no
out
ability.
of the back.
Yeah, he has
kinda
no
guy.
ability to dribble or distribute. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no-
think they're going to want to change.
unless they
game
just
plan
bring
on that.
Basuma way further back and make him
Yeah.
carry it up even further, and then you have like Mwepu kind of push forward a little more to cover the defensive area that Basuma might not be able to make up in time.
I'll say this. They need to get Alzate out of there. The man looked tragic.
I think the more I think about it, I think he's the one who had the bike in midfield.
I think so. Yeah.
Remember
think so.
and they like fell over
Yeah.
at one point? Oh,
Yeah,
man,
it
he was
was-
having a rough go.
There's a bad sequence there, but he had just a bad game.
Yeah.
Someone else.
They took him off and it looked a whole lot better,
Yeah.
to say the least. So, moving on.
3 points
Moving
for
on.
Brighton.
United, Leeds.
This is a key matchup we were looking forward to.
Yeah, truly. Varane unveiled, so not truly crazy to see Lindelof in there.
Yep.
Maybe to see them give James the start over Sancho. You think Sancho had a good amount of time, but I guess technically England did go to the final, so it makes sense for, just make sure. And the way Dan James finished the season, very capable player. So,
Right.
obviously no Rashford, so Mason Greenwood will be in there. As far as Leeds go, Robin Koch in midfield.
Yeah, kind of taking over the Calvin Phillips role for this match.
See, because I was surprised by that because coming in the game, I mean, he's a center back.
Yep,
by
he's the
trade.
center back. And
I
I
think
think
we
that,
saw
that remains after this game.
Yeah, I think we saw that in this game. I would have felt more comfortable with like even Dallas or Ayling going more from a fullback to a central role, pushing up as their 6.
I would
Would have made
feel
way more sense.
better with about pretty much anyone after seeing that game.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly missed Calvin Phillips, but Leeds was just really slow early, aka just bad leads early on. But
Yep.
I don't know, Millie had some solid saves early on, but it wasn't great that he was kind of caught out as much as he was by this Man U attack and the
Yeah,
Leeds
he was
defense.
getting tested because, I mean, the midfield was just shambolic for
Yeah.
Leeds.
Especially in defense.
Robin Koch, I mean, not even close to anywhere near
Where he had to be.
what a Calvin Phillips is, and he's just kind of running all over like a chicken with his head cut off.
Man U were able to go central the pitch, north and south so fast because there was just the quality wasn't there for Leeds in the middle of the field, specifically Robin Koch.
Yep.
It was just bad. It was just so bad and hard to watch. But I mean, at Leeds kind of gaining a little position after like the 15th minute or so, piecing some stuff together, some quicker play, but you could just feel Phillips just missing.
It wasn't that Leeds that we've come to know where they play really intense, lots of running. The passing was really disconnected. There wasn't much flow between the front three. And then Bruno gets on the end of a ball from Pogba. Pogba's first assist of the game. Pogba had a great game.
Oh, gosh, yeah, he really did.
You hate to see it.
I wouldn't say that. I enjoy good football as much as anybody. So, yeah, the way he was distributing the ball, and it was more of an kind of attacking role, I would say, more so than, and he's kind of he was obviously central, but at times a little more left.
Yeah, I think United just weren't too concerned about the counterattack from Leeds. Just looked kind of weak.
And a lot of it came to like the execution and stuff. It wasn't getting Bamford in the best spots, and the shots weren't the best. So,
Yeah. I thought Rafinha also had a poor game.
definitely, absolutely. You know who had a solid game? I mean, everyone on Man U really did, but there's 3 guys I feel like that weren't talked about enough. Dan James, first off, had some very nice dribbles.
Yep.
McTominay was very excellent in midfield.
McTominay loves to play against Leeds for some
He
reason.
does.
I don't know why.
He's a big game kind of guy. And then we'll get to the guy later, the third guy that I want to talk about. But
So it goes into halftime, 1-0 United. I mean, not too bad for Leeds standpoint.
we've seen 6-2, so
Yeah, we've seen Leeds come back from that. They sub on new signing Junior Firpo on for Rodrigo, who did not do anything.
yep.
Stuart Dallas moves into the midfield.
Which is what I kind of would like to see from the get-go, but yeah.
Yeah. So then, with the changes, they pull one back. Luke Ayling,
The rip.
just what a wonderful goal from
Just a
outside the
rocket.
box. A lot
Yeah.
of great goals this week. But it didn't last for very long.
Yeah, second goal for Man U is mainly just, Leeds are susceptible to counter. That's their biggest weakness, and that was evident in this goal.
Yeah, that's the thing they struggle with, even with Calvin Phillips. And then you take out Calvin Phillips, and it's like
It's going to be magnified times 1,000.
nightmare.
Yeah. So, and then the third goal, just kind of a sloppy giveaway. Just sloppy giveaway. And then the guy who I thought had a great game, Lindelof, plays a perfect through ball. Bruno in behind, roofs it, 3-1, and then you're like, oh boy, this is kind of falling for Leeds. Oh
Yeah.
no, actually, I jumped the gun. The third one wasn't from Lindelof. The fourth one was from Lindelof.
Yeah, third was from Pogba.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's 3 goals in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
At
That's
that
Leeds.
Point, at that point,
That's
Leeds
Leeds,
is just
yeah.
gonna like
Crumple into
Really-
the fetal position and
Yeah.
cry themselves to sleep. But no, I mean, all you need to know about this game is the announcer dropped out. When Fred is getting in on the act, you know it's been a good day. That's a quote.
That's a good quote.
It's like, oh man. And by the way, Fred scored the fifth. So
Yep. 4 assists for Pogba. Looked like France Pogba.
yeah, Hattie for Mr. Bruno Fernandes.
Yep.
This is just excellent by United. They just perfect execution of knowing how you have to attack them, and they just did what they had to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they were kind of giving it. Like I said, Bruno was just going middle of the field the entire game, but
Yeah, I think we were talking about Bruno. We were expecting him to be, middle of the road comparatively to last season, but he's off to a great start again so far. So perhaps he will continue that. Perhaps Paul Pogba will have a good boost from this and maybe want to be more of a team player.
yeah, maybe he signs an extension or something if the year's going well down the line. So, yeah, you just got to get Phillips back for Leeds, and
Please
it'll
never
be-
play Robin Koch
Yes,
at the defensive midfield role
yes,
ever.
Don't do that. Come on, Bielsa. Then the last game, probably the most considered game of the week. I don't know.
Second to last.
Second to last, rather. Sorry. Tottenham, Man City.
First game under Nuno for Tottenham.
Yeah, were you surprised about anything?
I guess not too surprised about
Maybe
the
a little
formation.
Ollie skip in there.
Yeah, there
That
were
threw
some
me off.
players that surprised me a bit, going with guys like Tanganga, Dyer, Sanchez in the back line, and then Ollie Skip in midfield. I did not expect that at all.
I always like Bergvine, so I'm glad that they played him.
Yeah.
He always seems to do a good job.
Mm-hmm. And then from Man City's perspective, something we're not strangers to is the
Nathan Ake.
Guardiola carousel of players that come in. So,
Yes.
So like you said, Nathan Ake coming in to partner with Ruben Diaz, the back line. Jack Grealish playing a little farther back than I expected as part of the midfield 3.
Yeah, you would think that they would have almost like they'd have Gundogan and Fernandinho either both behind Grealish going forward in the middle of the pitch, or you'd figure maybe Grealish and Gundogan a little further forward side by side with Fernandinho kind of being the holding piece there.
Yeah.
But no, they kind of went pretty much straight across.
And then Sterling, Torres, and Mahrez, the front 3 for City there. Doesn't really inspire me too much,
Why is that?
honestly.
Is there no 9?
I mean, I like Ferran Torres, but I don't think he's quite at the Man City level. I think he needs more experience to be able to fit into that role.
I just don't really like the way Pep uses him as much.
Yeah.
The way he was used for Spain, which is similar to how Pep uses him, but not fully. I like that a little better.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. And the funny thing was that this was like the most expensive lineup, and there's a bunch of backups in it
Yeah.
for City.
Yeah. It's sadness. This game, Tottenham were just impressive kind of from the off. I thought they just looked strong and, They had like a shape to them.
Yeah, they looked like they had a good game plan of what they wanted to do. They looked strong defensively, to my surprise, after seeing Eric Dyer and Davison Sanchez being
Davison Sanchez.
the center back pairing, and then also Ollie Skip in midfield. Yeah, like you said, they were off to a good start. They had some chances where they caught City off guard.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of City going forward, I was not really impressed at all. Jack Grealish was kind of the only person who was doing much of anything.
Yeah, which was kind of strange.
Sterling and Mahrez didn't look that great. I mean, Torres.
Suarez missed a few chances. And that was just throughout the game. That wasn't necessarily just the first half. But he had a few shots, to say the least.
It's just something about City. Like,
they're not your typical team. And it's not even like I'm talking about them spending all this money. It's just, it's a collection of guys as if they're kind of like a platoon of like just rotating pieces and stuff.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of has their own balance to the team. And, there's not like guys in specified roles that you would think. And it's just kind of weird.
yeah.
Because interchangeably, you think it would work. But that's not always the case.
Yeah, the system that Pep plays, we've seen it with Arsenal, because Arsenal kind of tries to play a similar system. When you don't have guys who are at the very tippy top, that system starts to kind of show its signs of weakness.
Yeah. And even at the tippy top, it shows them, because you don't always win the Premier League. You don't always win the Champions League.
Yeah,
Even though you have the most expensive guys.
exactly.
So,
halftime, it goes 0-0. Good start for Tottenham. They probably look like the better team, I would say.
they just looked solid today. And, and we talked about that on the pod, where it's like, I could see this going one or two ways for Tottenham this year, where they kind of catch some people off guard by how good they are, because they're just Nuno's, you know what you're kind of getting with them, and they still have elite guys, or it's just going to completely collapse on them. And right now they're off to the solid start. And that was solidified with Son shot outside the box. Kind of weird play, because did Ederson even dive? I don't think he even dove for it.
He might have, but it seemed like one that could have been saved potentially, but it was kind of just one of those that's
He
out of
probably
reach.
didn't see it clean, and that's mainly why.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
Yeah, Son, this game was incredible.
Yeah, he
I
really
mean,
stepped up to the challenge without Harry Kane.
I think everyone knows he's a world-class player, but this just shows that he's a world-class player.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
nuts. Bergwijn, again, creating chances out there. He didn't finish.
Didn't finish. That's kind of been his
MO.
his weakness, is that he can create the chances, but
Can't always
ultimately
put
he can't put them away, and that's kind of been the reason why he hasn't been a mainstay in the team.
him on. Yeah, true. He's kind of like a Lamella in a way.
Yeah.
But
So at this point, we see City in this position where we don't see them very often, is that they're behind.
Yep.
And when they go behind, things change a lot, because they can't just, putz around with the possession and do whatever they want to do.
yeah,
We see them now trying to force it, and when they're trying to force it, it looks even worse. They're just giving away possession super cheaply, like Mahrez and Sterling.
yeah. Mahrez had, I'll just be honest, I thought he had a very bad game,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just never felt like it was ever going to go for City. Even though, with that said, the Torres won.
He had the chance.
He did. But, I mean, that's what you get when you don't have a guy who's just out and out goal scorer. I feel like there's just something about having a guy who can bag you a goal.
Especially if you're not creating that many chances.
Yeah.
They came on and brought on De Bruyne later on into the match.
Yeah.
I mean, instantly changes the whole dynamic of it, and they look a lot better. But at that point, it was just kind of too late. Tottenham were set up sound defensively, and they had a good game plan.
Yeah.
Got to give them credit.
Yeah, Nuno, heck of a job out there.
Yeah.
Heck of a job setting up the team for the 1-0. Tottenham win, all 3 points to Tottenham. But, yeah, I think the big takeaway is how impressive Tottenham were, and I guess not really how shaky City were, but I don't know, because City always seems to get off to like a slower start, and then they find their rhythm, and then they get it going. But
Yeah.
it's I'd say this game was more about Tottenham than City.
Yeah, I'd agree. Just an impressive display by Tottenham.
Can we talk about more impressive football?
Yes.
Can we talk about vibes football?
Yes, absolute vibes.
Uh-oh. They're back.
Vibes FC.
West Ham,
First
Newcastle. Freddie Woodman in net. I like how he got rumored with Arsenal immediately after the game.
I didn't see that.
I did, and I was like, no, just stop. Nice to see Isaac Hayden in for Newcastle. Just a regular coming back. If they can get Lascelles back, I think it's pretty much their preferred 11, I would say.
Plus Joe Willock coming in there.
True. Yeah, and then on West Ham side, I mean, they pretty much had the team that they would like.
Yeah, they kind of got a down pat of their preferred team.
I just love their midfield so much.
Yeah, it's very
just
nice.
So good.
It's
Rice,
got
Soucek, and then Benrahma, Bowen, Fornals.
It's got such good balance between, like
the
a guy
three
like
attack
Declan
kind
Rice, that midfield engine, and Soucek, and then guys like Benrahma and Bowen with the pace that they have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perfecto.
Let's get into it. Start off. Newcastle, a little frisky, but West Ham was too early on. West Ham had some good aerial chances, but Newcastle press and then dribble into their first goal.
Yeah.
How about that?
Callum Wilson getting on the score sheet just like he always does when he's fit. And
Yeah.
of course, you know him. You love him.
ASM.
Saint
Maximin.
doing what he does best.
Oh my
doing
gosh,
some
he's so
techers
dirty.
and
I might have to get a kit.
I think you should.
It'd be so good. Yeah, just the first 10 minutes, Newcastle looked really, really good.
And it was interesting to see Isaac Hayden was kind of pushing up into that Joe Willock position, almost like it's not even like a number 10, but it's just like a midfield runner.
Yeah, it's a 8, but it gets a little more attacking than you would think.
Yeah.
Then the second goal, Cresswell given the goal, kind of looked like Soucek touched it on like the very first play.
Yeah.
Or first time you're watching it, and then it's like, oh no, it didn't go off him. And then it was already in, but they called it offside because they thought Bowen touched it. Didn't matter. Goal for Cresswell.
Yep.
West Ham come back. After the team that were always giving up the comebacks, they're now the comeback kids.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, crazy.
Things just got going. I mean, both teams were going like all out. There was none of this like feeling out the game. They're just like, okay, we're going down, and then West Ham's like, okay, we're going down too.
It was so great. The second goal for Newcastle, 2-1, fullback to fullback or wingback to wingback, I suppose. Richie's swinging it in for Murphy.
Yeah, not what I would have expected to have a goal there, Murphy, but whatever works. You pick up the lead right before halftime, and
I've said on this pod I like Newcastle's ability to play wide at times. I just like their ability to cross in balls, Murphy and Richie. I think they both are good crossers.
Yeah.
Relative to where Newcastle are in the table, I would say they are some of the best around there. So they go up 2-1 into half, out of half, 2-2. Benrahma.
West Ham says, not so fast.
Benrahma. You're looking for who's going to step into Lingard's role? Saeed Benrahma.
Yeah, absolutely. He looked like he had a very nice game in this one. Coming with a cross from Antonio.
Yeah.
Just that speed down the wing looked really nice.
Yeah, I just thought early on in the second half and as it went on, West Ham in the second half were just so much better in defense than in the first half in terms of winning the ball and kind of stifling Newcastle a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the second goal, I mean, that came from winning it off ASM. Declan Rice finally able to, take it off him.
Yep.
But no, eventually making it. Oh, it was the pen.
Yep,
The pen.
penalty. Fornals wins the penalty after Murphy takes him out. Antonio had a close range effort blast off of the post.
Yeah.
And then the foul was after that penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie Woodman steps up, big save in his first game for Newcastle.
And then Sushek runs in and just
Very
wrecks,
unfortunate.
Just wrecks him.
Very unfortunate. Woodman had a very nice game.
He did.
And then West Ham take the lead 3-2. And then another goal, West Ham on the counter again. Benrahma to Antonio, far corner.
It really just got hard for Newcastle to sit, or not Newcastle sit back. West Ham was sitting back, and that was hard for Newcastle to kind of build out from the back and do their own thing. West Ham kind of able to counter, and we've seen their fast build-up play all last year, so
Yeah.
they are potent.
Yeah, when you have a guy like Declan Rice, who's such a great defensive midfield player, but can also just really
He's an amazing
going.
connection between the defense and the attack, going
Yep.
from defense to attack. He's just a great player.
well said.
Any takeaways in this from the 4-2?
It was a great game.
It was. I love
Very
this game.
fun to watch. You love to see teams that play like this, as opposed to like a Man City.
Yeah, just
in
pass
my
the ball around.
opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know that we learned too much. I would say the big thing being West Ham don't need Jesse Lingard, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially not for like 30 mil.
We figured that would be the case if Benrahma was able to step up, and look, it's his first game, who knows? But if Benrahma was able to step up, I mean,
Yeah, there's good
because
signs.
they didn't get a ton out of him last year in terms of goal and assist production. They got a good amount out of him at times for like shot creation, stuff like that. But if he's able to turn that into actual results in terms of goals and assists, that'd be massive for them.
Yeah, I think overall he's just a better player than Lingard is, honestly.
Yeah,
So-
another thing was West Ham's wide defenders still so good. Cresswell and Schufall.
Absolutely. Yep. They Cresswell had a great performance in the first half, and then the second half was
A little more
Soufal.
Schufall.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. So, end of match week 1. We'll preview match week 2. I just threw together a little team of the week for fun. You ready to hear it?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Lloris, Alonso, Chalobah, Lindelof, Tanganga, Bruno, Pogba, Sushek, Son, Dennis, Salah.
Very good.
Some attackers I missed out: Sarr, Antonio, Saint-Maximin. Midfield: Canos. Other defenders: Tierney, Duffy, Tarkovsky. And then David Raya was the one dude I was like, oh, I kind of want to put him on, but Lloris, such a massive game for
I'm glad you
Tottenham.
mentioned Tanganga quick. I thought he had a fantastic performance against
Yeah.
City.
Yeah, I mean, he was the perfect amount of like aggressive play to where it's like you're not going to get carded, but if you do it like 4 or 5 times, then you know you might, but it's like it's worth it. It's
Yep.
worth it. And that's how you have to play Sterling, and especially just City in general, but mainly Sterling. That's how you
Yeah.
have to play him.
Yeah,
Don't let him do anything. So,
very effective. So moving on to match week 2, let's preview some fixtures.
oh boy,
First one, Liverpool versus Burnley. What are you looking at in
this
one?
looks like a stinker. That's what that looks like. Is this one's in Liverpool?
Yep, Liverpool.
Oh boy. I mean, Burnley's gonna sit back. They're not gonna. Liverpool's not gonna be able to test out their sit back theory this week. They'll have to wait for the Chelsea or
Yeah.
City game or something like that. But this one, I'll go with a 2-0 Liverpool victory. I think a little Trent Alexander-Arnold double assist game incoming.
I'm going to say 3-0.
3-0.
Yep. Second game of the week, Aston Villa versus Newcastle.
This will be interesting to watch here. Villa kind of getting a little more familiar with each other and their play style. We saw the way Newcastle was able to play on the counter. Newcastle a little more similar to Watford in terms of play style than say a lot of other teams. So you might be thinking, maybe Newcastle will catch them out. I'm gonna go with a 1-1 draw. No, 2-2 draw between Villa and Newcastle.
I was going to say 2-2 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about,
fair.
we didn't touch on this? No draws the first week.
No
How about
draws.
that?
You love to see it.
Yes.
Only in the Premier League.
Palace Brentford Selhurst Park opener.
I think Brentford's going to build on their impressive first match. I think this one goes another 2-0 for Brentford.
I want to see if Palace are playing Anderson and Gallagher, maybe Benteke. I think it'll be a draw. If they are not playing two of those three at least, I think Brentford gets a cheeky 1-0 win.
Okay. Leeds versus Everton.
Oh boy. Elland Road. Everton didn't look the best last week. We'll see how their defense holds up. But if there is one thing to say about Everton, for all the Everton fans out there, Richarlison could easily punish Leeds on the counter. That's for sure.
Yep.
I'm going to go 3-2.
I was thinking 3-2
It
as
might
well,
be the
actually.
year of high-scoring games. I
3-2
feel like.
Leeds?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not going to happen.
Absolutely not.
City Norwich. We've seen it before. No. This has to be City 3-0. Or are you just going to go City 5-0? First 5-0.
I was going to say
5.
4-0.
Who gets the first 5+ goal win of the season? The Southampton award. The Leicester against Southampton award. It's a candidate.
Maybe Chelsea. Although I feel like Chelsea,
have some tough games coming up.
once they score like 3 goals, they
Then they
kind of
just
just
sit back.
They could do it against Arsenal.
Let's go City. 3-0 against Norwich. 3-0. Main fixture on Saturday: Brighton, Watford at the Amex.
The marquee matchup.
Oh man, I'm gonna go with another 2-1 Watford. How about that? They're gonna catch Brighton out on the counter.
I'm going to say 2-1 Brighton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see how Watford's defense holds up in this game. We'll see how, because I mean, Brighton's not super slow out wide, but if Watford go up the middle, any one of their guys is faster than Shane Duffy.
That's true.
So, Sunday, Southampton, Man U.
This one could be the 5-0.
This very well could be a 5-0 game.
Yeah.
We won't go with that though. We'll just go with a 2-0 for United.
I'm going to say 5-0.
All right.
I am super low on Southampton right now.
It's hard. It's hard to be high on them. Wolves and Tottenham
Right off the bat, we're getting Nuno
against this old team.
against this old team.
We'll see how that goes. I'll let you predict first on this one.
I think I'm going to go with a 2-1 Spurs on this one.
Okay. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
Oh, okay.
Is Kane playing in this? Do we know?
Good question.
If Kane's playing, I'll go with the Tottenham win 2-1. If he's not, I hate to put caveats on it, but then we'll go 1-1 draw.
Okay.
Arsenal Chelsea.
I'm scared.
I want to know your thoughts on this because I think that this is going to end badly for one team.
This could be one of those classic Arsenal, like park the bus and somehow win 1-0.
I think,
or it could be 5-0 Chelsea.
I think they pulled that one out last year.
Yes.
And Chelsea probably will not forget that one. Although this one's at the Emirates now.
Yeah, so probably 5-0 Chelsea.
You're going to go 2-5-0 games. I'm going to go 2-0 Chelsea.
Okay.
We're going to go for the Monday game, West Ham Leicester. This is a fantastic.
Yes, very
this
nice.
Is sumptuous.
I think there's a chance that West Ham catches Leicester's defense off guard. They looked a little bit shaky. And I'm going to say 3-3.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going with a 1-1. I'll go modest.
I go
1-1.
very high scoring
Yes.
if you haven't
1-1.
noticed.
Well, I mean,
Hope for the best.
yeah, exactly. And hey, man, this is the Premier League we're talking about. There's a lot of good defenses, but the attacking players lately
Absolutely.
are going nuts. Did anyone not score last week?
Arsenal?
Oh, God. well, I don't want to end the pod on that. We can't end the pod on that. Do you have one just crazy prediction for this week? Or are you just going to say the Man U 5-0 is the crazy prediction?
Lukaku hat-trick against Arsenal. There you go.
Oh, my goodness.
It's been week 1, match week 1 in the books. We got 37 more to go. Stay tuned. Follow us on Twitter at Please stand by. Please stand by.
Prem Perusal Pod.
Prem Perusal Pod on Twitter for the hottest tweets. Smash that
watch
like button.
YouTube. Listen on Spotify.
Drop us a comment on YouTube
We're
if
on
you love us.
SoundCloud. We're on all kind of platforms. People,
All kind of Google Podcasts, whatever you want. We're there. Potentially, if we're not, leave us a comment on YouTube and we'll get it there.
Yes.
But anyways, thank you very much for listening. This has been the Premiership Perusal
Podcast.
Podcast, Episode 1.